Hello everybody, this is Terawas
And Spasical here.
for a new type of video.
We need to work on that, by the way. It wasn't ads on cue, just to let you know.
Yeah, it's the session 0, so we're gonna, work out the kinks. But this is a new type of series we're doing. Kind of a podcast, if you will. Maybe we wouldn't call it that. But anyways, so why are we making this? I think is the first question anybody's wondering. And are we still doing customs? Well, obviously we're going to be doing customs. We're always going to be doing customs. That's our main bread and butter. It's our passion. It's what we love. And I don't see for the foreseeable future us stopping. But
and this is also like a more casual approach. You could actually talk to us because we're going to be live streaming in these videos. It's going to be all live. If you have any questions, then you could answer. You could get an answer immediately.
Well, of course, not this video, but in future ones, because this is, again, session 0, quote unquote, using D&D dungeon master terms or whatever. But the reason why we're making this is our channel is built on a niche. Our channel is built on the niche of not only customs, but FNAF customs. And we didn't want to be another reviewer. There's nothing wrong with reviewing, like reviewing figures or being a reviewer, but there's a lot of people out there who do a fine enough job. We have Shardamus and
Yeah, I'm way
Anthony.
better, just to let you know, too.
Yeah. We're I don't think we have the skills required to be a proper review channel, such as, well, Anthony Custom and Shardamus. Anthony, I like for being, very critical of figures. Something I think we would be in this series. And Shardamus for getting it like early, like super early, so you always are on time to see what we got.
And I like his comparisons too. It's very fun to see all these old and new figures of the same character all in a row. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
something like that. And we're gonna kind of do something, I guess, in similar. As you can see, there's a Nightwing up here. I'll explain what that is in a minute, but I just wanted to lay the groundwork. So yeah, we're too long didn't read. Making a new niche series to hold you back till our customs, our bread and butter, is out. It's not gonna replace anything. This is just a side series, so you guys aren't in the dark as long.
Especially Bonnie. He's definitely our bread and butter. We have like a couple hundred of them. And when I say them, I mean one figure that we're rapidly remaking over and over again. So it takes a while. I'm a perfectionist. It takes me a while to get things done and get things right.
And we definitely got some special new features too, and I think you'll all like it. So I guess maybe we should talk about the figure, unless if you have anything else you want to say.
I would also say that I think live streaming would also help me answer questions you got a lot easier because I'm a slow typer. I'm not gonna lie, and I just prefer more verbal communication. But the reason why I haven't did a live stream for this long is because I think I suck at stuttering. I suck at all that stuff. So I have this this stage fright, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, it's like, me and Spider. We we're not the best speakers. We're kind of like we're just good with our hands, and that's it. We can't do editing. We suck at all this stuff, so we're just doing what we are good at, and that is at least making customs. And I hope I'm good at it. You know what I mean.
Well, I think that's it for what I gotta say. Yeah, let's get started, I guess.
All right, so today I think our subject is going to be base bodies, McFarlane, and what essentially what we're going to be talking about is base bodies good, the pros and cons of it, and specifically the essentials line, something that I feel like was canceled because of the negative reception of such of the reuse of the body pieces and such. Um, So one thing I gotta know is, taking a look at this. This is like I think the best Nightwing figure we got, and that's already like probably controversial to those McFarlane stands. And I have to remind you guys, we are gonna be Like some of you are gonna get mad. We're gonna kind of bash on McFarlane a little bit.
Hey, we bash on Funko, so it's not unnatural. And I will explain. Any questions you have why me and Tara Wass doesn't like Funko that much?
Yeah.
We would love to answer your questions with that.
So first things first. We also wanted to remind you guys. I don't know if we ever said it, but we were a huge fan of McFarlane. We used to buy like every single one of their like Walking Dead figures.
We still probably will. That's something that
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna stop, but that we like the older work of McFarlane, not exactly the newer.
Going off subject and rambling because we like to do that. So let's talk about this. All right. So essentials. At the I think if I had to start talking about this, let's look at the beginning. Uh, in the beginning, people were excited about this. It's like, holy crap, we're getting the Marvel Legends of DC, and people were just so excited. But then when it came out, the very positive reception kind of like dwindled really fast, and I feel like that's down to well, the reuse of parts. They saw the reuse and they're like, oh crap, this is going to be bad. So let's just ask, is it justified to have reused pieces? I mean, after all, Marvel Legends reuses all the time. Let's bring in
For
Webman over here.
Yeah, for years too. Like they've been getting away with it since Toy Biz, and we know that. Like they even use Toy Biz parts. Still, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And as you can see, like these are both examples of reuses. This is the typical Essentials body having a reuse of Batman's gauntlets and all that stuff. And I think this is a Sunfire body repainted as Webman.
With a Spider UK head.
Yeah. And so I think they only had 3 waves and then one McFarlane produced wave, and this being a McFarlane produced wave, I believe. Um,
Actually, I think there might be more than just three, but I need to look that up later.
yeah, me too. And okay, so let's get on to it. So, okay, was this a bad base body if we're looking at it in that way? Is it justified? Honestly, I think at first, I mean, they only had so many waves versus Marvel Legends, and Marvel Legends had the okay, it's all good for much longer. So I think perhaps that it was justified, at least for, a good couple like series of figures. And sure, there's a few issues I feel like they could have changed. The torso being overly, or I guess the chest region is overly skinny, like pushed in. These shoulders are pretty big combined with these longer arm areas. And the plastic, it's much durabler. I think it may have fragility issues from what I researched. Here's an example. This hand is broken. I could fix it. I'm a customizer, no problem. But what about the average customer? I don't think they could fix it. So you guys are like, all right, so that means Marvel Legends is already winning. Well, not necessarily, because I also have to point out that the Pizza Spidey, which they still reuse to this day, has some major fragility issues. Specifically, I believe on the left leg.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was the left leg.
For some reason, that's a consistently breaking thing, and it's not like it's being put through, a washing machine or anything. This is just natural displaying, posing, and something happens where they fall over and stuff like that. And you move them around time to time, repose them because well, you get more. Then you're like, okay, let me repose them. Typical collector stuff. But if they both have fragility thing, they're both kind of counted for it. And who knows? Maybe this is even a QC error, which every company has QC error or errors. That's not the biggest. I mean, it's like kind of, I guess, I don't know, a crappy argument. It's like, oh, QC, but I'm saying people should have forgiven it if they could forgive Marvel Legends, at least for a little bit. They were still getting their bearings. It was so little series.
I would also come to argue that if I take Webman right here, it looks great. Honestly, I like the really smooth black lining. I like the color of blue and red, although it's not exactly accurate to any Spider-Man we know of. But I gotta say, proportional wise, I think I would rather the Nightwing out of the two. So I could even say that, like, I could argue that I think reuse should be okay if the body mold looks great. Of course, it's subjective, and not everyone's gonna like the same body proportions and all that.
For instance, lean Batman or bulky Batman, like stuff like that. So, what I would advise is maybe like a light, medium, and heavy type of body, like form, and then you could, for the initial waves, start off with those. But let's go. Let's talk about the articulation, right? I'm gonna show this side because this hand's broken and very loose. So I guess something was wrong with it. This is, I will also note, this is a McFarlane produced wave. I don't know if this applies to the older Essentials, but the body mold does apply to it. Just, I don't know about the QC and stuff like that. Also, paint job is very nice. I also have to comment. You know, very good articulation there. You really can't complain. Although most people prefer up and down, this one's not bad. It does, enough range to, get by. Again, up and down would have been better, but again, Marvel Legends has this issue. Of course, you would want this articulation on these hands, but what about, a gripping hand for Marvel Legend? Well, guess what? Marvel Legends still chooses this and this, what is it, up and down? I don't even know what that would be called. Uh, like positioning of the joint for, the gun hands. Well, this one does the same thing. My bad, one of my lights just fell down. All right. So yeah, that's pretty good. The torso, proportional wise, because I do believe proportions are a essential thing when talking about heroes. Very nice and kind of thick here. That's good. Not thick enough this way, but this way is good. And
Compared to Webman, I would also point
oh
out.
yeah, Webman, as you can see, it's much thinner on the torso area, and it should be thicker. So yeah, he could bend this far, not as far as you would like it to be. They could bend this far back, good enough, honestly. Kick out this far to the side, which this is going to bring up a argument later in the video I wanted to bring up, or a debate, whatever you want to call it. Swivel up here, the double joint, pretty good. And then we got the ball, rotational ball joint that you could like reposition it. And then, not as far, up
Oh,
that
and
far.
not to mention the the shin
Oh
swivel
yeah,
right
shin
here.
swivel. Couldn't even, like, I didn't even remember that because it kind of like blends in pretty good. But now let's look at Marvel Legends. It goes, I would say, like a little further. The backwards is
A
a
lot
little,
further.
yeah, it's a lot further.
The
Um,
head, it has like it
the
goes
disc
back
hinge
pretty good, but also I would say that yeah, I would go further. It goes further.
forward. Let's see. It looks down that far. This one looks down. Okay, Spider-Man does got it. And we got the butterfly joints. Sure, the essentials don't have it, but is this a essential joint or not? You decide in the comments. For me, I don't really like the joint because, again, for Marvel Legends, I always had the issue of it breaking on me. But Spider Skull, on the other hand, likes those joints. He never had an issue.
Yeah, I think it just depend on how it's made. The Power Ranger line, that line, I think the way they did the butterfly joints for the shoulders works really well.
Yeah, but after like pointing out all that stuff about that figure, what do you think? Do you think they should have kept it at least for a few more waves, or do you think they should have edited it? I'm in the consensus that maybe on wave 2 they should have edited the basic proportions to be more accurate and then reuse the newer ones for longer to, sustain themselves perhaps.
Or series two, because I don't know how long it's been. Like if it ever comes back, it should tweak some proportional problems, but overall I find it pretty well looking.
All right, let's talk about McFarlane. McFarlane, all right? So, this is, I feel like, one of the better figures that McFarlane released. And, I guess, trigger warning for people who can't take criticism to stuff they like, because I'm of the mindset of if you like something, you could criticize it. Going to it, um, this is a good figure, but most of McFarlane's stuff is crap, in my opinion. I'm pulling the band-aid off. It's going to be, I guess, more of my controversial videos, but it's just, he's a great artist, and I'm pretty sure he has a ton of good artists, but something's wrong where they keep making odd decisions.
Here's something interesting. Like, this is something, who knows how long ago by this point, but that zombie looks like scary. That zombie looks realistic. All the sculpt is there. And this is kind of what I grew up seeing McFarlane as, like a really good artist. Uh,
So, yeah. I completely still think that. If you looked at these lines, this is one of the more articulated zombies. For the zombies, I guess this is a bad example. They're less articulated. But for the people, every single series, they've just gotten better and better articulation, more accuracy. They're super realistic, like better painted than this. Like, check this out. That thigh, that should be silver. There
now,
should be a gray patch right here.
now look at the back. Now this is the most egregious thing. Nothing. There's
Yeah.
no paint job there.
So why are we even bringing this up, right? It's like, so what? They cheap down paint, right? But we're talking about somebody who consistently criticizes Hasbro for doing the same thing. So isn't it only fair that if they are seen as a hypocrite in that way to point it out? Again, these are both kind of like whatever, like they're, giant companies. It's like whatever, But it's like they could do better. We have seen it, and yet they give us less than subpar. Again, we only bought the actually good figures from McFarlane. Well, in our opinion, of course, you guys may disagree. You guys might like something that we don't. Um, but yeah, like all the Dick Graysons they released, the Nightwings, the Robins, those characters. Every single one of them is bad. Every single one of them. And it sucks because, fun fact, Dick Grayson's my favorite character of all time. And look at this. He could do articulation if only given the chance. He could do proportions if he actually, like, I don't know, spends longer time on it or something. It's just disappointing to, be a part of, McFarlane's stuff for so long, yet he seems to have just gone downhill.
I know everyone brings this up, but like, look at Spawn, for example. Look at his old Spawn too. His old kind of just statue, but still kind of action figure Spawn. Those guys, the proportions look great. It looked like he jumped out of the comics. And all I'm saying is, why can't we get that for everybody? Like Batman or Superman with his skinny leg problem all the time. And I love Superman. He's one of my favorite characters.
So let's talk about another thing. Um, NECA. Let's talk about NECA. I know somebody out there specifically really likes NECA, and we have come to agreement that they should maybe make the future of FNAF perhaps
Yeah, like think about Freddy, uh, and
as a
all.
NECA.
Yeah, NECA Freddy. That would be great.
NECA. This is probably gonna be a hot take. I know there's like the videos talk about NECA in a bad light, but I feel like from my personal experiences of QC and all that, NECA has consistently showed me the best of the best figures that I've gotten. Highly painted, highly detailed, highly sculpted, full of accessories, tons of articulation, and for a price barely more than both um,
Marvel
McFarlane
Legends
and
and
yeah,
McFarlane.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do mind you if you get the ultimates, it would be a bit more expensive. But what about the single pack Kratos, the Arnolds? You know what I mean? Like it's just there's a lot. I guess I'm trying to show you off while talking like that.
Just to let you know, I do know his golden fleece is missing a part. I just took it off because of traveling reasons. I just didn't want to lose such a small part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. Obviously there's a waist articulation and all that. And this is a example of what I feel like McFarlane should be in a lot of ways. A cheaper NECA even, since they're cheaper than Hasbro, which that is a good argument. Um, who would want that? For instance, I'm about to rip Hasbro a new one. Who would want to buy that new Spider-Man No Way Home 3-pack? I'm about to upset a lot of people, and I have to tell you, I was excited for it. Um, but every single figure in that thing is bad. One's a reuse, the Tom Holland one. The Tobey Maguire one has some proportional issues that fans have pointed out, like the mask being wrong. I don't really care that much, but the real issue that I'm going to talk about. Okay, in 1 minute. Let me just first talk about Andrew one. Andrew one, again, proportional issues, probably the best out of the three in terms of scope. But why won't I personally, in my opinion, buy that 3-pack? Is it because of the ridiculous price that should be way lower? That's a good argument, but honestly, sometimes that's not really a no to people. They would put out the money for that.
Yes, if it's good enough to you personally, then you would buy it. You would buy whatever the price is, depending
Yeah,
how good something is to the person that is viewing it.
yeah. But the thing I found is a super big issue, ultra big issue, is the Y joints, or not the Y joints. Excuse me, the drop joints. The Y joints was the old problem. Drop joints are the new one. Drop joints are like the bane of my collecting existence at this point.
If you
It's
don't know what that is, it's a joint that I'm just gonna pretend Robin right here or Nightwing has a drop joint. What you do is you pull down the leg and then it like
like
gets
from right here.
longer. Yeah. And it's meant to kick out far further, but it doesn't work.
Further.
It just doesn't work. Every experience I've ever had of it is just overcomplicated for no reason by this point.
No joke. Me and Spider Skull would both take a Dremel tool and kind of saw it to pieces, and then we would grab the joint and reattach it in a T-shaped format. Like we would essentially make it so that there is no mechanic there. It's just a regular old rod that goes through the legs. And guess what? The same distance of moving, the same one. And to me, it's like, is this budget being wasted on other things like accessories, like maybe, oh, I don't know, face reveals for the three Spider-Man? Um, is this budget wasted on pinless, if you like that, or the paint job? Like, I wonder, where is this going? Because there's nothing wrong with the other joint, the T joint. They call it a T joint, by the way. Because I realize not everybody is informed with it, so I gotta explain it. A T joint is, you see this area right here. I'm gonna take his baton and I'm gonna point it out. There's a piece of plastic going through in a straight line through this area, and they call it a T joint because it goes upwards, and it's like an upside down T. So it's like that pretty much. Or actually, let me do it properly since this is Nightwing. It's like this, like right across and then down, and that's the most effective joint. You just have to simply allow for a gappage, right? This is what I mean. You see that little gap right here? It's hard to see because of the gloss. Very nice gloss, but that gap allows you to go all the way up. And a Y joint, or excuse me, drop joint. Y joints are bad. I'll explain that later. It's not relevant right now. But T joint, or excuse me, drop joints is bad because it does nothing for a lot more, like a lot more engineering. And you know what mechanics say? Simpler a machine could be, the less things would go wrong. It's something like that. I didn't see the quote exact, but you get it.
But we were also talking about unique sculpts
Oh, right.
versus reuse. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but what we're trying to say is when a joint, I mean, not joint, That's previous conversation. When a sculpt is unique, is it really worth it if the sculpt is bad? Of course, this is not really a good example. This is the thing near us at the moment.
Yeah.
But the first ever Batman ever release from McFarlane, that was bad. That sculpt was pretty bad to me at least. I thought it just looked awful. It looked unfinished. I know. Who am I to judge? Not a sculptor. Well, I mean, I sculpt things, but I'm not like a professional like them. But that's my point. They are professionals. I'm kind of hoping for such like accurate sculpts to the people they're trying to represent, and that's what I think. They should be doing.
Yeah, sorry about the rambling. As I told you in the beginning video, we get like that. But yeah, what do you guys prefer? New sculpts every time, even if mostly it's bad, since in my opinion most of them are bad, or a consistent, good, but also reuse body mold. Like maybe the Sunfire. It has proportional issues, but overall it's good. What do you guys think? So there's another figure type we could talk about. Oh, by the way, proportional wise, I forgot to mention. This is pretty accurate to the scene that they showed of the zombie. It's pretty hard to look at and all that, but it's got the proportions in the right area. Thumb. So how do you tell the proportions? Thumb aligns with the crotch like this, like straight line almost. And then if let's just pretend because this is not bend enough. If this kicks, I guess below the belt, if I'm right.
No, to the joint. If it kicks to the joint, then it's good proportion. Of course, you could, accept exaggerated proportions, but
Especially if it's a superhero body. Like, this, for instance, this is considered a bit big, but it's good enough because, like, if you push it all the way down and have it line up, it goes above the joint, the belt, and that's okay in this perspective because we're talking about superhero proportion. What's not okay is the arms. Again, this has a proportional issue because this goes straight to the like middle of the thigh almost. That's not good. That's not superhero proportion. McFarlane does stuff like this all the time. That's what the premise is. But anyways, going back to it, new figure.
Frodo's
From
almost sounds like Kratos.
yeah, from Mythic Legions. Honestly, this was worth the hype. For years, me and Spider been wanting to get one of these for a long time. They were just too expensive. That's something about it. They're like what? $45 at its cheapest or something. Uh it's actually really good though for what you get. There's a lot of reuse in this, but nobody really cares, and that's because I guess the special feature of this series. They
Pop
could,
and swap.
yeah, they could pop and swap. You could grab the staff and be like, "Oh, take this off and put something else up there." And there's also decent articulation. There's one missing articulation, but we'll get there. Boom. Actually, you could probably do it further. Boom. Look at that bend.
And that's a single jointed arm.
Yeah,
Typically, we
it's good
would
articulate.
prefer double jointed arms,
Yeah,
but
actually, I'm gonna show this off a little bit. Yeah,
this line wasn't meant to be hyper articulated. It was meant to be kind of like a dream of making your own characters for like Dungeons and Dragons or some sort of fantasy that you just want.
it goes all the way around. The head moves around, and the head could be popped off, but also the neck, the stomach. It could crunch this far back, this far forward. I think I popped it off. Yeah, the skirt piece could come off. This could go all the way back, all the way forward. It's meant to pop apart. You could take these apart and swap them around with your other mythic legions.
Some people might see it as a bad thing that has single jointed limbs, and you're perfectly correct for saying that. But I knew what I was getting when I was getting this figure.
This is how it looks like without the skirt piece, if you're wondering. It does actually have good proportional ones. Yeah, I think I just popped that off because it's a little bit harder than, that look. But There's a lot of different ones like this Berserker, which has like really good like ad definition and such, and good proportions for what it is and everything like that. And they do reuse a lot, but every time you see it, you don't really recognize it at first, because they do like a lot of interesting things with it. But not only that, like every single wave, they add a new piece and such.
Well, almost every single wave. At least a head sculpt or something.
Yeah. And I feel like if it wasn't for the price, it could replace Hasbro. Because I gotta say, the price is a bit steeper. Like 45, you're buying a collector's item pretty much. Um, I think we've said all of our points. Forgive me if I didn't.
Points, problems, discussion, topics, any of that stuff. It's kind of just a general
Vlog
talk
or
video.
podcast.
It's not exactly meant to be anything informative or I guess you could consider it entertaining, but
Yeah,
that
if you like
depends.
this stuff. But again, these are all our opinions. You feel free to disagree with me, and I'd like to hear your feedback. Are you interested in this more personalized series? Of course, this first episode was a bit critical. It's just I wanted to kind of get like a couple of the issues that I've been kind of thinking about
As a
off
collector.
off my chest. Because we're saying this as a collector and customizer, even though some people are like, "Ooh, you're a customizer, so I'm not good." But yeah, I say this as both a collector and a customizer, and I just feel like that things could be much better if only there was something changed. Again, we don't know what's going on back there, and if something can be done to make things better, then I would love to see it. And these are not blind hate towards anything. I used to love all these customs, and some I still do. NECA, I still like. Obviously, Mythic Legions I just got. McFarlane, I'm only passionately hating, quote unquote, about it because I used to love the series so much. Every single Friday when there's like or I think it was every Friday, we would try to get like a new Walking Dead figure. We would earn up little as possible just to grab that.
Yeah, like the SWAT zombie, one of my favorites.
Earliest video, if you want to see how that looks. I think it's earliest.
Yeah, I think it appeared on the earliest video with it, which is Bonnie, by the way. Withered Bonnie was my first custom ever, which is why I have extreme attachment to Withered Bonnie. I think I said all my points for this video.
Expect a live stream next time.
Yeah, it's not going to be just a recording. It's going to be a live stream next time.
Give us now. It's time for you guys to give us criticisms. Tell us what we could improve on. Tell us what we could do better, and if you like to see the series continue. This is just meant to hold you guys back till we get the customs out. So, what do you say? We say goodbye to our audience.
Yeah, even though that's not scripted, that's crap.
I'm
Well,
gonna make it sound
anyways,
more scripted. Anyways, see you guys.
bye.